Hello and welcome to our Lightning Skills series. This video forms part of our Empowering Educators training video. The areas I'm going to focus on is going to break it down to 5 themes. I'm going to talk about preparation, talk about introductions, I'm going to talk about explanations, activities and engagement. Next up is introductions. Kind of a little hack that I have that I've always adopted way back in the early part of my career is really, if we can, get into the classroom early, getting set up so that you are there to meet those young people when they arrive. And I suppose when I say meet those young people, you can be there physically, but what you don't want is to be there physically, but actually needing still some time to do some prep or load the computer up or get your slides up. You want all of that stuff done in advance. And I appreciate, and again, in my experience, it's not always the case. Sometimes there's some challenges because if you go into a school, they work on a very strict timetable. So the teacher or your contact may not be able to meet you ahead of time, but where you can, get into that class, get set up well in advance, and you're there to very much meet the students physically, in body of course, but also mentally, that you're not distracted by doing that resource prep. And the reason why that's important is because you can be there to meet and greet them and be ready to meet and welcome those young people into the classroom. A rule I have, and I adopted this early on in my career, is that I always try and speak to everyone prior to the start of the session. Usually I kind of hover around near the door, ready to meet and greet those young people. If I can, hello, how are you doing? Just quick, short, snappy introductions just to break down any kind of guard that those young people might have. Remember, if you've not met them before, you've not been into that school or college, they may not know all of the kind of context around why they're there and why they're doing your workshop. So what you'll often find is that they'll be psychologically guarded in situations like that, and we're trying to just bring that guard down a little bit. I say it a lot, but you've always got to remember that first impressions are last impressions, and you only get one turn to make a good first impression. If you are at the computer trying to log in, messing around with resources and all of that stuff, then your attention isn't focused on the young people and you're already losing them. So get that done, be ready to do your warm introduction. Really crucial point here is your hook. It's really thinking about what's going to hook those young people into your workshop. You've really got to think about the why. So why would those young people engage in your workshop? For me, I think sometimes I see the approach of, I'm delivering a workshop, these young people are there, they have to be there, they're going to engage, or they have to engage. When you're working with hard to reach young people, or the hardest to reach young people, you really need to think about bringing them closer, so bringing them in and bringing them to you. And the way you do that is have a really strong hook, and it answers the why. So why would those young people engage in that workshop? Answer that question, you've got yourself a good hook. Next up is introductions. So we've talked about first impressions, but we've talked about hook. I'm really thinking about making a strong introduction, and there's a couple of things to remember here. But you don't do your introduction at the start, because, as I said, psychologically guarded, they're not warmed up yet, you've not made a first impression, you've not done your hook. Introductions comes a bit later. I would also say that you need to think about an age-specific, a group-specific introduction. Really thinking about who you are and what is it about you that these young people would find interesting. And I can give you a couple of hints here. It's not always your job title, and it's not always the specifics of your job role. It's looking at you as a person. We are all unique. We all have our own unique characteristics and experiences. So it's really looking introspectively at that and what it is in you that these young people would be interested in. Final one on this before I move on is really thinking about respect. It's really important to remember that it's not just gifted to you, and I think respect is something that we earn. Again, if it's multiple workshops or a program of delivery, you can gain it over time. If it's just going in to do a one-off, obviously that's a little bit harder to do in the first instance, but it's really important to understand that you're going to go into that classroom. If you've not met these young people before and they are hard to reach, that you're not going to be gifted that respect. You have to kind of earn it, is what I see in my experience. I think it's important as well that that respect goes both ways. So you to them, and of course them to you. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you get lots of value from it. Hopefully it's really useful in your role as a facilitator, as a teacher, as a practitioner, as a careers lead. So thanks again for listening. Hope you enjoy. Take care.